Kenny Clark, and this is Lombardi's Bar.
This is one of my favorite podcasts to do.
I'm just, blessed and thankful to be a part of this podcast. It's a great podcast. It's a great interview.
Maybe I know that you guys, obviously being the best Packers podcast that's out there.
I had Malort this weekend, so I'm not tasting anything.
Oh, good.
He did.
God.
He did. That was fantastic.
Because it said, "Did you ever try Malort?" And I said, "No." And then I said, "Do you want to take a shot of Malort?" I said, "No," but I did.
Wait, who said
It's called peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get in a high honors English class once, and they called my parents and were like, "Hey, just tell him he can't do it."
It shows. It really shows.
I hate you guys so much.
I'm going to throw these two guys into the screen so that if I die, they can carry on the legacy of crap that is this show. Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of Lombardi's Bar here on the Game On Wisconsin YouTube channel. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. A lot of people already in here. I can see, wow, numbers popping off. Corey K in the chat, Emma in the chat. Hello, both of you. Jay, Rizzy. The Rizzy, oddly, a little high. I think all of us are riding a strong fire Joe Barry Rizzy, and I think it's making for some interesting vibes across the Packer Twitter sphere. We have a lot to talk about with this game, with the Packers in general. Let's bring these two guys into it to talk about all of it. It's Jimmy and it's Todd. Boys, how are we doing today?
I'm over the season at this point. I still want the playoffs, but I'm just so I'm pissy pants with this team. They've just put me through the fucking ringer this season.
I don't know how you can be done with the season, ready for it to be over, but still pulling for the playoffs. That means the season goes longer, and that there's
I know
more,
what it means.
like, so you want to ride that emotional roller coaster to the top one more time just for them to lose in Dallas in the wild card round.
You know what addiction is, right? It's just
probably
really,
Detroit.
you know what bad's coming. No, I hope it's not Detroit, because then I really will talk myself into a playoff win. Like, I want it to be the Cowboys, or just for some reason the 49ers go to like the number 2 seed. I need to have zero hope that the Packers win.
Okay. Well, but you know what's going to happen is, like, the Packers will come out in the first quarter, be up by like 10-0 or something, and give you just a little smidge of hope early on in that game.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who they play, Jimmy, because if they roll off 3 straight wins and get in the playoffs, you are going to assume that they can beat anybody. And I will be here to remind you about how the time earlier in the year that they won 3 straight games and looked really good, and then lost to Dan's cousin, Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, I'll ignore that though, because I'll talk myself into it.
My cousin.
You guys are tight. Aren't you guys?
Did you see he wanted them to quit the Italian shit? Did you see that? I thought you would appreciate it.
I appreciate him ever leaving the zeitgeist, like, permanently. I don't care if it's I don't care. I don't want to ever hear him again. I did hear that his agent was trying to basically like bilk a extra couple grand out of a local establishment for an appearance fee for Tommy DeVito, because
if you look at him, you would expect it though. Like, that outfit, he's asking for more money.
Also, let's be real. If I have an appearance fee and then all of a sudden I'm the NFC Player of the Week, that appearance fee is going to go up. Like, capitalize on it while you're here.
No, I totally understand the milk the 5 minutes of fame Tommy DeVito has before he's asking if I want to upgrade my rent-a-car reservation, but still, just fuck both of them.
That's fair.
Yeah. Speaking of fuck Joe Barry. I think we're all on this train, right? I don't think we said in the pre-show. I don't think there's a single Packer fan, Packer anybody out there except for Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur who are not actively rooting for him to be fired.
Are you pointing at yourself?
Or me? Yeah. I tweeted about it the other day. It's if there's no one else that's there that's able to do it, why make the change with three games left? If it's really something that it's easy for us to sit here and go, well, it's tearing the locker room apart. Is it? Do we know that for sure? Because DeAndre tweeted one thing, we know that for sure everyone in the locker room hates Joe Barry and no one's doing their job because Joe Barry's still there. I don't buy into that. And the fact that like Ja isn't playing because it's either him or Joe Barry, where does that come from? Someone on Twitter just having a hunch? That again, there's nothing that backs that up. If that were the case, then they would just put him on the IR. Why would they not have him on the IR to go, well, we're just going to keep you active then and hurt the team? That doesn't make any sense.
The one thing I'm with, like, if they don't have anyone to take over right now, then there's no reason to fire him. At the end of the season, they have to do it. But the one counter to that, though, would be if
they don't have to. His contract's likely up because typically coordinators have a 3-year contract.
Yeah, his contract's up. So
he just will not be renewed.
Yep, correct. But if you look at the Raiders, like their coach right now, that sparked something on that team. Getting rid of somebody that, again, do we know what the locker room's feelings are? No. Can the locker room be happy about the way they're performing? No. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Like the defensive room cannot be happy with what's going on. So if you fire him and just get some kind of change, that usually sparks something. If you're just 3 wins away from a playoff run, if you can get the defense just motivated just a little bit these last 3 games, or get something changed and like new ideas or something flowing, it's worth it at this point. Like they don't do it, that's fine. But
if there's nobody there that the defense is going to rally around, then what are you going to get rid of the whole stat? Like you can't. So if there's nobody else there that can do the job and there's nobody there that you feel like the players are going to rally around, then what are we doing it for? Just to say we did it?
But the same way, and you're saying we don't know what's going on with how the players feel, you also don't know, like saying that there's no one there that can do it is also just us talking like we know what's going on. Like there very well could be somebody in that locker room who could fucking do it. We don't know.
I feel like out of the number of people that are around this team on a regular basis, the general consensus from the beat writers and everybody else that's around has been that there hasn't been anybody named that they have said this would be a good replacement. And I feel like those are people that would know. And it seems to be an agreement that there's just not anyone there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much an idea of we need to have somebody in here that's better. If you're going into this season, regardless of playoffs or whatever, if you're going into this season to say this is the season we establish what the Jordan Love era is moving forward. Where are the holes? Where are the strengths? This season, we find out where everybody stands and we move forward. So if the idea is that record and postseason don't really matter, why does it necessarily matter if there's somebody better on the staff for 3 basically meaningless games? I personally would rather see a head coach that has come under a lot of fire. If Matt had any sort of self-awareness, under a lot of fire for being a guy that is buddy, that it's a boys club, where if it's Matt, you get to come in. There's not a lot of anything. It's sort of his little gang there. This game Sunday was unacceptable from a defensive standpoint. Unacceptable. Baker Mayfield came in and did something only one other person has ever done one other time in the history of Lambeau Field. And he did it against your defense at home. That's unacceptable. I don't care if he has 3 games left and you want to lame duck him. It shows me that there is accountability. And if you want to talk about rallying around guys, I think it rallies guys around Matt that says, hey, apparently if that really is a locker room problem, that is, as a player, showing me this head coach actually cares about the defense. He's an offensive guy. He cares about the whole team, this defense. And he says, this isn't good enough. The level that we're at right now, that's not good enough. And he's showing that that is the mentality moving forward, that this won't be accepted.
So
I say,
do you guys think that that Matt and Brian and anybody else that has their pulse on the finger of this team, that is understanding their finger on the pulse of this team?
You got that. We knew.
Yeah, you knew where I was going. Are we saying
finger in his team.
Are we saying that they either A, don't know what they're doing and we don't trust them to do the right thing, or they're actively going against the best interest of the organization?
I think that
because that's essentially what this comes down to.
Like that's what I said. Is I think part of it is maybe a little bit of lacking of self-awareness on Matt's part. I think he's shown that time and time again. Sometimes he can't see the forest through the trees, and he holds on to guys too long.
And you don't think Goody would come tell him?
I don't think we can bring Goody. Goody's been on record saying that when it comes to coaching, that's Matt.
Yeah.
Those are Matt's decisions, and I think that's his way of like, hey, if we do have to cut ties with the head coach, I'm not involved with those types of decisions. I'm strictly players, and so because it does go to Matt. And I understand what Dan's saying. It shows some kind of accountability when you've had these games, especially these last 2 weeks. And it's just such a weird switch because in the beginning of the season, it's not like the defense was playing great. There were schematic things there that people have harped on this entire season, but the defense was not giving up points. And that's what everyone kept going back to. We just had Matt Schneidman on, 3 weeks ago? And he was even saying he thinks Joe Barry is going to be on the team next year. And it's just a switch. Like, I don't know what happened. If just the breaks we're not getting anymore, and opposing teams now are starting to put points on us. But that's how quick it went. It went from our offense sucking ass, defense doing well, to both of them kind of and now the offense is playing decent, and the defense is just getting torn apart.
Well, I think part of it too, I watched. I don't know if you guys saw the Dusty Evely and John Kuhn breakdown, but I watched that today, and like, there were a lot of times that, it might not have been the call or the alignment that we would have wanted to see. I mean, I'm with everybody. Why are we 8 yards off the ball on 3rd and 3? That makes no sense. Why are we in an obvious running situation with 2 down linemen? Or even worse, there was a couple of plays where there were 2 down linemen, 2 edges, and you still end up with a wide receiver getting covered by Devondre Campbell. Like, those are instances that, like, I get it. It's a zone. It's not a straight one-on-one matchup, but that was happening a lot. And I don't know if that was just an issue with the personnel that's available. But there was a lot of times that you could see the player communication on the field wasn't there. One instance was, like, Devondre was clearly trying to get Quay to shift over, and Quay wasn't able to listen or hear him and pay attention. So, I mean, is that on Joe Barry that it was
last week with Valentine
loud at Lambeau that they couldn't hear? And then also broken tackles, missed coverages. Like, there's things that, it goes to, you need to coach that better. They can't tackle at practice. So how do you coach better tackling? There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. How do you coach better footwork when it's wet and rainy? You know, it's just we've seen it a number of times where the Packers have had the advantage on the traction in bad weather, and there was guys falling all over the place. No, Katie, I don't have a cold. My voice is still a little bit shot from the game.
If you look, though, like, I understand what you're trying to say, but a coach's job is to I hate to say they're a good example, but the fucking Vikings right now, what Flores has done with, like, that is a prime example on what a good coach, a good defensive coach, can do to a defense. Talent for talent, the Packers have more talent than the Vikings defense, the defensive side of the ball. We have more talent. And it's just year after year, these little mistakes are happening. And you can say one season, like, players have to figure it out. The second, like, we're on season 3 of this. And at some points it's no, like, the coach has to hold them accountable. And if it doesn't change, like, 1, change some players around, or 2, find a new fucking defensive coordinator. And so it's just, I understand what you're saying. Players are making mistakes, but the coaches had to put them in a good position to make plays. the Devondre Campbell thing is an excuse. If it was like 1 or 2 times, he got torched all fucking game because we kept going with the same goddamn zone that would end up him on Chris Godwin, which is just never going to be a good recipe for success.
Right.
I mean, Mike Daniels laid it out for us that teams like Detroit and Cincinnati can play exactly what Jimmy said. There are defenses out there with much less talent on this team than the Packers do, and they play much better defense. And so to me,
do they have that much more talent, or do we just think there's more talent on this team? These guys might be playing to who they are. I mean, we can say there's X amount of first round picks on the defense. Remember, one of those is Darnell Savage. Another one is a guy who hasn't played in a month and a half. Like,
I think if like comparing to the Vikings, I think Danielle Hunter is better than any player we have in our defense right now. But besides that, the other 10 is nowhere, I think, is below our defense. I think talent for talent, they have the top
Smith.
Guy. Yeah, but
Harrison
I feel
Smith is better than any safety we have.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of disagree with the pros of your question, Todd, because like you're telling me then that like they've busted on more than half of these picks. I just can't imagine that is the case. We've seen growth from a lot of these guys, and we've seen consistent play out of a lot of these players. And it's really hard for you to imagine that everybody is now all of a sudden playing, that everyone's been playing over their skis talent-wise, and now it's all coming back down.
I don't think they've been playing over their skis at all. When has Devontae Wyatt shown up like a first round pick? When has Quay Walker really shown up as a first round pick? When has Darnell Savage looked like a first round? Well, and again, let's jump into why I've wanted a high first round pick instead of trying to pick. Let's make a run for the playoffs and pick in the mid-teens, because that's where a lot of these guys are coming from. And you're not getting that top end talent that's going to step in and make an impact. I mean, it goes to, I mean,
gotta coach up your talent though. At some point, like, would you say, looking at Quay and looking at Devontae Wyatt, do you think they have the skills to be a productive player in the NFL?
Like those guys,
because at some point it's also too, the coaches have to put them in positions for that first round talent to shine do well.
I'm not saying I like Joe Barry, and I'm not saying that I want him to be the D coordinator next year, but I don't know that firing him at this point in time to appease Packers Twitter does what people think it's going to do. And I trust
Twitter.
I trust that the people within the organization have a pulse on this team and what's best for this team, and is going to lead them in the correct direction. Because if it wasn't, if Goody felt it with the players, he would, and it was what needed to be done, he might not step in, but I'm guessing he'd go to Mark or whoever else is in that building that has any kind of lead into Matt's ear and let him know what's going on. Like, this isn't solely Matt standing in the corner saying, I'm not firing my friend. There's other people in the organization that are working on this, that are talking about this. This isn't a one-man call.
I want to push back on that. I think it's slightly disingenuous to view it as a Packers Twitter thing. I think this is Packer fandom. I don't know if you could find 10% of Packers fans out there that would say that would be against firing Joe Barry. I really don't.
I think even going to like what you said before, Todd, of like people, the media who's around the team all the time, like that's all of them as well are just kind of like perplexed on this.
True.
And like I understand, like I don't know many teams that have a team meeting Monday to let the players air out what they need to air out, and that's a good sign of locker room chemistry. Like they're not going to have that type of meeting when it's all like rah rah, we're all having a jolly fucking time.
Well,
like,
no, I mean, they just lost
built
2
up.
games. Of course, nothing's fucking.
Well, I know, but this is the same shit the Raiders did when Josh McDaniel just looked like an idiot because he got reamed out by players. Like, it's the same kind of vibes. And I know we don't want to read into what a player put on Twitter, but if he's going to go out there, DeAndre, and put out the whole, I'm not going to play injured anymore, they take advantage, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're not, like, those are little pieces of just what's going on. And I understand what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to do it right now. We're going to let him walk at the end of the year. But I guess I'm the opposite of you. I do think it makes sense to do it right now.
I wanted to highlight this comment exactly. And it's not just hockey. There's tons of examples in different sports, different leagues, where sometimes it's even just the message is stale. The players are not responding to him. They're not listening. Whatever the message is, it's not getting through. And so it doesn't. So at a certain point, it just doesn't matter. Do you get rid of half of your defense next year, or do you get rid of a defensive coordinator? And that's
when
exactly
next
right.
year, yes, next year. Right now, it doesn't make a difference.
I don't think it makes a difference in terms of what happens on the field, but I think it makes a difference in terms of culture and what's expected out of this team.
Well, I'm going to lean with I'm going to side with the experts that are in the building.
The wheels of history are greased with blood. I want blood.
Okay. Buy around? Joe Barry, who's buying him around?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I don't even know what. Oh, I already brought him up. Devondre Campbell, man of his word, put on Twitter, I'm not going to play through injury anymore. Next practice, he had a neck injury, and he did not. There we go. And he fucking stuck to it. So I don't know what the hell's going on. But I don't know. For my own personal reasons, I thought it was funny that he tweeted that and stuck to it and said, I'm not answering any questions about anything that was on the internet. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is probably your last year on the Packers. You did really well. You became an all-pro linebacker for the first time in a very long time for us. Thank you for your service. God bless.
Yeah, I mean,
Jimmy's giving him
he's out, right? Like, after this, we got McDuffie, Walker. We'll draft somebody.
He's gone.
Yeah,
he gone.
And I think, like, his statement again. If you watch the tape on it, there's a lot of plays where if they were saying, "Hey, Devondre, like, what's this?" There were times he was out of position. There were a lot of times he was in position and was just forced to make a really tough decision to guard this guy and let that guy cook me, or vice versa. And if he's feeling that he's taking the blame on that, depending on how that messaging is coming across, then yeah, I can see where just like, all right, what am I doing then? Like, you want me out here running shit? I'm sure for him, it wasn't easy having, Quay come in and get the green dot and start calling the defense. Like, okay. I mean, remember when I was an all-pro, like, yesterday? So that probably didn't help things, but I'm sure that it didn't go over well.
It's just the expectations that came after that 1 year. And I think, like, he became such a fan favorite after that, his first year with us, to just shit on a lot. And, like, I know his tweet probably not about us, like everything you were saying, Todd, just things in the locker room,
no, I think
the
it's
film
specifically
room.
For this show. I think he.
Yeah, it is for Lombardi's bar.
I was surprised he didn't at you guys.
Yeah, he was like, these fucking assholes. But it's just, yeah, it was a quick turn for him. It went from like a high to now he's hurt. He's a step slower, missing tackles all of a sudden. I don't blame him on the whole Chris Godwin thing. I don't think half of our corners could guard Godwin. But
see, I think that's part of the reason he's sort of taken a step back this year. I don't think there's a lot of trust between everybody on this defense, especially in the coverage side of things. Like, I think it feels like he is trying to do too much. Like, he's trying to do everybody else's job. He's not like Todd, you mentioned, like, having to make that, like, difficult decision. I don't think it's as difficult decision when you trust the guys behind you to be where they're supposed to be or make the coverages. I think that's part of his I think that's part of his issue this year. Is I think he just doesn't trust guys around him as much. You know, I think he tries to do too much.
Well, yeah, and that's what it was. Is I mean, you can look and he can see that guys are out of position, and you can feel when a guy's not where he's supposed to be, and so that's going to make things automatically that much more difficult because you know, okay, my responsibility is this way, but I know that this way, dude's not there. So where are we going? I think that's a lot of you're right. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that name a person that's spending considerable amount of time in coverage that hasn't been hurt this year. Like,
yeah,
when Carrington
Valentine's been around,
right?
I feel like wasn't even hurt for like a little bit.
I think he was for a minute.
They all were. They all spent some time.
That's just it. When you've got him and Ballantyne and Nixon and a rotating group of safeties and Quay coming and going and DeAndre coming and going, like it's hard to get all those guys to mesh and run a zone, especially when you've got a veteran quarterback and two veteran wide receivers that they know how to find a soft spot in the zone. Like that comes with age and experience in the NFL.
Mayfield, though. Still Mayfield. Yeah. Is what Mike McDaniel, my NFL crush. He just did a whole speech on how Dolphins had players trying to their top guys or older veterans trying to step up for people who weren't doing their job. And I think that's exactly what both of you guys are saying with Campbell too. You can definitely see that, but he's old. He'll be out of here.
Yeah. Todd, who would you like to buy around for?
I'm going to buy a round for the chat for showing up tonight, bringing it each and every week, but especially showing up tonight after last week. Dan told them all that they could fuck off. So much respect to the chat for being here.
Sometimes you got to hear it.
Jimmy and I love you guys. We appreciate you being here.
Don't lump me into
have a round on me. Dan, on the other hand, I don't know how I know how he feels about you. It's not great.
Yeah, well, I'm getting roasted.
You said it.
Unfairly, I might add.
Whoa. You unfairly told everybody to fuck off?
No, everyone deserved to be told to fuck off.
I don't even remember what we were arguing about last week.
Guess I'll be buying around for the chat again next week.
I'm going to buy a round for, I don't know, why is everyone in the chat being like, this is why Todd is show MVP. Todd is show MVP because everyone understands the bit. You people understand the bit.
You people, you're lucky all our listeners are white or you'd be in trouble right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm not listen, I'm not just the show MVP. I'm the 3-time show MVP.
Todd's bit is to sit there and try to poke fun until he gets people mad. That's Todd's existence.
Sorry that I bring knowledge as well. Did you guys watch film breakdowns today? I did.
I know, and we know this is the first time all year you've done that because it's the only time you mentioned it.
That's not. That's not.
No, Zach. The bit is that Todd is Krusty the Clown, and I'm Sideshow Bob. I'm the straight man, and Todd gets to bang me on the head with a rubber mallet every time, and the crowd goes yay, and that's why everybody loves Todd. I understand my roles, but I'll never win awards.
Hold on, what Zach means, and Zach has known me since we were children. This is just who I am.
I get it. No, and
it's not a bit. This is just who I am.
That's why it works. That's why it works perfectly. Because it's natural. I'm the natural straight man. Todd can come in here and be my sparring partner, and it works perfect. And I'll never win awards for it. I am the Washington Generals to his Harlem Globetrotters. He will continuously throw the bucket of confetti in my face, and I will continue to be Cephas pushing the boulder up the hill. I would like to buy a round for the Green Bay press. Having to sit over the last 2 weeks and ask Matt LaFleur all of these questions of, hey, why have you not fired the worst coach on your staff yet? Or even better question, why did he come back for this season? And have to sit there and listen to Matt give the most generic coach speak answers to everything of why is the same problem happening over and over again to this defense, Matt? And he has to say, I'm going to go look at the tape. Or we got out coached or whatever. Why did you only give Aaron Jones the ball 3 times in the second half, Matt? And he has to go watch the tape. So kudos to the press that sit there and have to muddle through all of those press conferences each and every week. Shout out.
You know, it's good when everyone just predicts it over and over, or it's like the over under how many times they're going to hear his cliches.
He's like a fucking chatty Cathy doll. You just pull the string back, and it's the same fucking thing every week.
I was telling Alex during the game, they need to have somebody on the coaching staff with a headset that if it's been more than 4 plays since Aaron Jones has touched the ball, they just go, Matt, just in the headset, just Matt.
It's like your Todd clip.
Aaron Jones.
Todd.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is on the team. Aaron Jones is on call play for Aaron Jones. And what do you?
8 carries their first drive, 5 the rest of the game.
When we went down 10, I said they're done running the ball. It was still in the first half. They're done running the ball. It's over.
It's insane, dude. You had 15 rush attempts with running backs.
Like in the second quarter, just taking a look at it, they ran the ball 1 time.
Yeah, not
1 time.
Jordan Love's been doing well.
However, fucking Drake.
Let's give Matt a little bit of appreciation here, guys. No jet sweeps.
I'm kind of bummed about it. Fucking double down.
Once in a while, dude.
It's
sometimes I feel like it is just like a bit that Matt LaFleur is doing. That he's just like, what are the people saying not to do? Okay, like he either listens like, oh, you guys don't want so many jet sweeps, we're not going to run any of them, or it's like, oh, everybody wants me to fire Joe Barry. I'm definitely not doing that.
Get him an extension. I would cry.
I'm going to tell you this much: if Joe Barry gets an extension, by the end of the year,
you'll get your nipples pierced.
No, I'm done with this show. I'm done watching football. It's over. I won't do it anymore.
I mean, if that, I don't think it's going to happen.
Number 1 on your list.
If that literally happens, I don't know how you can look at this team and say they are committed to being the best team possible.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say that. The third quarter, first touchdown drive, I'm just like looking at all of this like off the top of my head.
It's not off the top of your head. You're looking at it.
Well, I didn't do this. I didn't do it ahead of time, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It was an Aaron Jones run on the first play, no gain. It was 12 straight passes after that. It ended in a touchdown, so kudos, but 12 straight fucking passes.
Yeah.
How?
I just don't.
How?
And it goes again. I already mentioned the first drive at the 8 carries, but he got 43 of his 53 yards that drive too. So like, if you have someone who started off that hot, like how does he just disappear from your game plan? And I understand at some point too, it's just keeping the defense honest. Like Jordan Love's been dealing the last few games. He's doing well, blah, blah, blah. Fantastic. Our offense is better when we have the run game involved because the play action is working better and Jordan Love has more time. Like if it doesn't matter what's going on. If Jordan Love's doing well, that's great. Still run the ball. Like it has to be a part of your game plan. And so often it disappears.
It just is shocking. Like I can't imagine how do you run a team with Aaron Jones being the most tenured player on your offense and you just forget about him.
Homeboy just took a pay cut to be here. And they're like, you know what we're going to reward you with? Shit. You're going to be hurt half the season, which again,
or even
sucks. Sorry, dude, but
Give one or two more handoffs to Patrick fucking Taylor. I don't care, but run the goddamn ball. God.
Yeah.
All right.
That was our buy around part too.
That was
Jesus.
Before we move on from that, let's do, because I feel like we have an opportunity right now, and if we don't do it now, he's probably going to have a bad game. Rasheed Walker has been playing some really good left tackle the last few weeks. Highest graded player on the team this week on the offense. So
yeah,
What was it, like 88?
let's just buy him a collective round real quick, and now he'll probably have a bad game this week.
Dude, no, it's the Lombardi's bar bump. He's good. He's gonna hump a player on the ground.
Speaking of pay the tab, Todd, who would you like to have pay the tab? I feel like that's the best place to start.
The defense. Everybody who sits in a defensive meeting at any level for the team, whether you're a coach, a player, assistant coach, on the IR, an assistant for an assistant to the assistant.
You get food for the defensive players.
Whatever it is, you are responsible for one of the most disgusting displays of football that I've seen in a very long time. I tweeted it out. 6.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. People started leaving Lambeau because of how disgusting the defense was playing. It's hard to even enjoy the fact that the offense played pretty well, that Jordan Love had a good game. By the way, I was right. A lot of the things that irritate Matt, it's footwork. Jordan Love, the few bad throws that he had, footwork, which is something that they've talked about working on with him. So I understand that frustration. But yeah, it's just the whole defense, pay the fucking tab, figure something out.
And the fact that Baker Mayfield was able to do all of that and still they were able to get, what was it, 5 sacks or something like that?
Five sacks
and a fumble recovery inside the 5-yard line.
And I believe there was only 2 contested passes that they considered contested passes.
I don't doubt that.
And they were both incomplete. Every completion he had was considered they had enough separation for it to be considered an uncontested. Like, that's just pitch and catch all day.
Just think about the worst losses you've ever seen at Lambeau. Not a single one of them had a perfect quarterback rating.
Yep.
Until this one. That is mind blowing, because it's not like this was not Michael Vick in a wild card.
That's a game I went to in my head.
This was not guy takes over the game and is a cheat code and you can't stop him. This was the defense didn't show up.
Yeah.
And that just goes back again. Like I think that is a unacceptable. Like, I don't know how you move forward and say this is working.
Even that what was it, like David Moore, he had that 52-yard touchdown, just to what Todd mentioned before too, because of just missed like 2 people hit him and they're just like, you know what? We expected you to go down. You didn't, so go ahead and have a touchdown.
And then Rudy Ford slipped and fell.
Yeah, it's just ay.
Jimmy, who would you like to have pay the tab?
Yeah, I won't go. We already harped on this shit enough. Mine's just Matt LaFleur. At some point, it's going to be like Robert Saleh in New York. People are getting so pissed at him for not fucking benching Zach Wilson. And players started to come out, leaks starting to come out about internal frustration going towards him. Thankfully, there's only 3 games left, because what's the worst that happens? They wait 3 weeks, and then Joe Barry, knock on wood, you never know with this fucking team, is hopefully gone. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's going to get to the point. Like, it might get to the point that players just start getting frustrated with him because it's his call to fucking do it. And if enough people are frustrated and he's still not pulling the trigger, like it's just malpractice at that point. But we've said that enough.
I don't put a lot of stock into this, but I'd like to just throw it out here and see what everybody says about it. A, how much is Matt LaFleur actively on the hot seat right now?
0.
And okay. Well, then I guess the second part really doesn't.
How much does it go up if they lose out?
Well, no, I have seen people on Twitter talking about burning the whole coaching staff down and bringing in Bill Belichick.
Okay.
That's a Facebook group. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, you can't. It's people on Twitter, Dan. You come on. I know you're smarter than that.
I just wanted to throw. I'm not saying it. I am just throwing.
Here's what I found out, and there are things that happen on Twitter that don't show up for me typically. I made a joking post yesterday about giving Sean Clifford a chance to run this offense, and that led me into a part of Packers Twitter I was unaware of. So, Dan, those are the people who are also talking about tearing down the whole coaching staff and bringing in Bill Belichick. So these are also the people that think Bill Belichick will come in as a defensive coordinator.
Right.
So let's.
I think producer Maddie put it into the chat. What do you guys think about Brandon Staley as defensive coordinator?
I'm trying to figure out how I killed the segment. Sorry, I saw on the side. Well, we already talked about Matt LaFleur, like in general, so I'm kind of like expanding on it a little bit in different ways. Is Brandon Staley is he the Matt LaFleur version of the defense where like maybe he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach? I think the difference is Matt LaFleur's offense has been successful. Like Brandon Staley's defense just wasn't when he became a head coach, like that defense drastically dropped. Whereas like we've seen flashes this season, Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. Like that 2020 season was just unfucking believable. Like we've seen the offense be successful with him as a head coach. I still think Brandon Staley, I think he needs to take some time. I think he could still be a great defensive coordinator. He's proven to do that. But I don't know. I think they're different. I think LaFleur's already shown he's a better head coach.
Okay. I will pay the tab, or have paid the tab, Mr. Bryce Young, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, because, buddy, you've seen what can happen. You've seen the Joe Barry effect. You can take control here, bud. Like this is where you start earning the paycheck. Are these games like this against Joe Barry? So
does he win Rookie of the Year after this week? They just say, sorry, CJ Stroud. You never threw for 800 yards and 17 touchdowns.
It's kind of one of those, it's like a baseball thing where it's like, well, he had, 50 home runs. Like, yeah, but he was playing in a hitter's ballpark. And CJ Stroud would be like, well, I never got to play against Joe Barry. If I got to play against Joe Barry once a week, once a year, I'd have
Baker Mayfield's he's gonna become comeback player of the year because of that last game. Fucking bouncing around. Jeez.
Oh. Guys, whatever happens this week,
can't do it, dude.
You know what you can't do?
You can't
take the Broncos lightly.
They'll fucking get you.
You can't do it, guys. Can't do it. Look what happened to the Lions.
Mr. Unlimited, he'll come at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there a part of you, but like after these last 2 weeks, is there a part of you that's nervous going into this Panther game, or is just this team just is so fucking bad?
No, I have no expectations for it.
Okay. Tommy DeVito. We let Tommy DeVito happen. Anything is possible at this point. You could have a Make-A-Wish kid in running this offense, and they
shout out Big B. What up?
Yards. That's not. I did not. Did not.
Shout out. Go eat some fucking barbecue sauce, dude.
Yeah, put something on those tendies, dog. Dry ass.
I was about to have a joke. I couldn't.
Over. Let's get into some bar bets. How about for this game against Carolina? Speaking of Bryce Young, we saw what Baker did this past week. Perfect QBR against Joe Barry's defense. Does Bryce Young finish the game with a QBR passer rating over under 99.99? So does he at least hit the 100 mark? Is over. He's done it once this year. Will he do it against Joe Barry in the defense?
5 Bakhtiaris, yes.
I'm going to gang ground here. I'm going to go 5 Bakhtiaris, no. And this is just going to be a pissed off version of the Packers defense that I've been begging for the last 3 weeks. So this time's the time. I don't know, man. He's so bad.
I'm with Todd. 5 Bakhtiaris, yes. I think
so. Go over 100.
He will hit 100 QBR passer rating. Yes. You said yards. I want to make sure you're aware. We're doing.
Dude, my recreational's kicked in, dude. I don't know what's going on. Just move to the next
one.
Jimmy
158.3 is the max, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, I know what we're talking about. The words aren't forming.
Aaron Jones, we addressed this a little bit, that he had 13 carries in the game on Sunday. 9 of those came in the first half, 4 in the second half. Does Aaron Jones have over 6.5 carries each half? Does Matt LaFleur bounce back and learn from his mistakes and feed Aaron Jones the ball? Jimmy.
That's you.
That's
I'm gonna go 3 Bakhtiaris. Yes, he's going to.
Is this an average or like has to have in each half? Like
he has to in each half, right?
He has to have at least 7 carries each half. So 7 in the first half.
It's not an average. Not an
average.
Okay. Come back to me then. I got to think about it some more.
Okay. I will say 5 Bakhtiaris, yes. As much as we kind of shit on Matt for not being aware or whatever, he tends to kind of have really bad games and then bounce back. And this should be a game where he should be able to bounce back offensively. So hopefully, praying to God, this means we see a lot of Aaron Jones this week. So I'll go 5. Yes, over. Todd.
5 Bakhtiaris, no. I don't trust it.
Okay.
I don't know that we've seen it this year.
That's all you need to say.
Like, I don't. How often does this happen?
Yeah, it's rare.
And also, I mean, if Dylan plays, if Reed plays at all, does he get touches? They activated or opened Emmanuel Wilson's window. Like, I don't know.
These are carries, so yeah. Can I change my answer? Todd, yeah, I'm gonna go no.
Okay. The final bar bet here, just straight up spread. Packers are favored by 5 on the road against the Panthers. Do they cover the spread?
Yes, 5 Bakhtiaris. About to win this bitch.
Todd?
5 Bakhtiaris, no. I think they win, but I don't trust them to cover 5 points.
I will say 4 Bakhtiaris, yes, they do cover. I do think it's going to be a bit of a...
Just go 5. If you're going to go 4 at that point, you might as well just go 5.
Hey, Jimmy, they're my goddamn Bakhtiaris. I'll bet
Coward.
them.
All right, enjoy last place, you
Didn't you go 3 on the last one, Jimmy?
Well, yeah, but that's fine. That's like I don't know for sure. But if you're gonna go 4, you might as well go 5.
Well,
then why have any other numbers?
You really only need 1, 2, or 3. But we expanded it to 5. So
if you're gonna go to 2, why don't you just do 1?
Yeah,
because then you have less room for failure, guys. Come on, dude, grow up. It makes sense.
Read a book, Jimmy.
Read a fucking book, dude.
I think it's a bit of a backdoor cover, but I think they will
you better cover your back door.
I knew something was coming.
Yeah, especially with the Broncos, you can't take them.
You can't take them lightly, guys. They're gonna get you.
All right, guys. Any other final thoughts before we wrap this up here?
Nah.
Okay, great.
I don't even know who.
No,
I don't. I don't have any more thoughts. I hope they fire Joe Barry.
I'm aware that you don't have any thoughts, Jimmy.
Any more thoughts? I said all mine. I know. I said all my stuff.
Jimmy is already into next week's show. Jimmy is 7 days.
I'm here listening. You said, do you have anything else? I said no. I answered your question.
All right, MVS. If you enjoyed the show, guys, there's a lot of people.
If you enjoyed the show, what the hell's wrong with you?
First off,
call your therapist.
Go see a therapist, a doctor.
I got a good one.
Make sure that you follow the show on YouTube. Subscribe, rate, review, share us with all of your Packer friends. Make sure you're following us on Twitter as well at GameOnWI. Get notified every time that we go live on any of our shows across the channel, like I said, by subscribing on the YouTube channel. You can follow all 3 of us at our little bubbles there. Todd doesn't have his up because he doesn't want you to follow him, but you can follow Jimmy and myself on any of the socials there as well. Thank you to, again, everyone jumping into the chat. Really appreciated the feedback and everything. A lively chat always makes for a much better show. So thank you guys, everybody that piped in. For producer Maddie behind the scenes, for Jimmy, for Todd, I'm your bartender Dan saying cheers. And as always, go Pack Go.